Gas prices are absolutely catching fire right now, yet rent is suddenly dropping. Yeah, the 2026 economy is throwing some seriously mixed signals at us. In this explainer, we're going to break down the hidden inflation shocks draining your wallet and, believe it or not, the unexpected silver linings that might actually save you some cash. Stick around to the end because you'll want to see how this all plays out.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're looking at the 2026 inflation spike, the supply chain lag, paying more for essentials, how renters are finally getting relief, and an affordability reality check. Let's get right into it.
All right, part one, the 2026 inflation spike. This is that immediate shock we literally all felt at the pump. We're talking about a massive 21.2% jump in gas prices. That's what triggered our March CPI spike. I mean, practically overnight, the average price just blew past $4 a gallon, instantly tightening everyone's household budget.
And look at this. Gasoline basically hijacked the entire economy. It drove nearly 3/4 of the overall 3.3% inflation surge. It really proves just how incredibly vulnerable we are to the ongoing Iran conflict. But you know what's really staggering here? The speed. It took literally just 1 week for this global conflict to hit your local pump. It acts like a rapid, regressive tax, and it hits lower-income households the absolute hardest. Moving on to part two, the supply chain lag, because, well, that energy shock at the pump, it's about to trigger a massive secondary wave. Now, you might have noticed your grocery bill didn't immediately spike in March. But hey, don't be fooled by that flat reading. Retailers are just temporarily eating the costs. That insulation, yeah, it's about to wear very thin. So here's how this delay actually works in the real world. When diesel and freight costs soar, it takes about 60 to 90 days for things like packaging and fertilizer to get more expensive. Fast forward 3 to 6 months, and bam, that exact cost lands right on your retail grocery bill. And because of this lag, the supermarket aisle is going to look pretty wild. You can expect beef prices to rise over 5% since herds remain low, while things like eggs are actually projected to plummet by 27% as older supply shocks finally resolve themselves. Okay, part three, paying more for essentials. Because the burden goes way beyond just the grocery store. Consumers are literally getting squeezed from every direction at once. Check this out. Healthcare premiums are jumping 26%. Meanwhile, an AI-driven chip shortage is quietly pushing up the cost of everyday tech, like your computer and phone, by up to 20%. Insane, right? Let's pivot to part four, renters finally get relief. Finally, a countercurrent where supply and demand are actually working in your favor. 29. That is the number of consecutive months that year-over-year rent has actually declined across the top 50 U.S. markets. You heard that right, 29 months. Of course, location is everything. So-called renter-friendly Sunbelt markets like Austin are seeing massive rent drops of over 7%. Meanwhile, landlord-friendly coastal holdouts like Boston and New York, they're still squeezing out slight increases. But look at Milwaukee as the perfect example of flipping the script. A massive boom in new apartment construction caused vacancy rates to double. That completely shifted the market power directly back into the hands of everyday renters, which is a real game changer. All right, wrapping up with part five, the affordability reality check. Let's take a sobering look ahead at how your actual paycheck stacks up against this shifting reality. First, here is a much-needed glimmer of hope. Wage growth is currently at 3.4%, which is actually finally outpacing home price growth at 1.2%. So for future buyers out there, you are slowly but surely gaining ground. However, the mountain is still really steep. The home price to income ratio is stubbornly stuck at 4.9. To put that into perspective, the average home still costs nearly 5 times the average salary, which is way above the pre-pandemic norm of 4.1. Which leaves us with one massive question to chew on. Will our incomes ever get that 20% boost needed to restore our pre-pandemic buying power? Make sure to subscribe for daily updates as we continue to track the 2026 economy, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.